Hi, and welcome to this Android video on content providers. And in this video, we're going to specifically talk about a content provider that is given to us by the Android system. This is called Contacts Contract, and it used to be called Contacts Provider, but they've updated the name and also some things about the database. So we're going to go through and see how it works. Use this as kind of a template piece of code for connecting to any system-provided content provider. We have a previous and a next button here. We've also got a connect button. In production, we would probably connect during on create, possibly on resume would be a good place to connect, and then disconnect and on pause. But we're doing things explicitly here to show you the process. I've also got a large text here that wouldn't be visible unless I had it highlighted. So this is a very simple thing. The buttons have, obviously on click handlers, get prev, get contacts, and get next will be called when we click those buttons. So now in the main activity file, and to be honest, we would factor out a lot of this code from the main activity so it didn't burden the main activity. But in this, we're just trying to keep it simple. In the main activity file, I've got three private properties. I've got an array list of names as string. I've got an index integer, and I've got a pointer to a text view. Of course, on create, as normal, I'm going to set up my pointers by finding the view by ID to that text view. I have one text view, and I just want that, so I'm going to call it TV name. Get contacts. The parameter is the view that I just clicked. So now, we get a cursor. Now, first of all, we want to give the we're giving it the authority here in a URI. And we're setting that up as a URI. So this is going to give us back the authority for the content, the contacts table. By passing in this content, get content URI, this is going to give us back the content URI, which contains the authority and table name for that contacts table. So this is a very simple way to get back a content URI. And then we're establishing a cursor. And we're calling up query. And we want the URI and then the rows to get back, null for all, the where clause arguments, and the order by clause. And for that query type, we're going to get a cursor back. And so I just want all of my contacts. So I'm passing in null for all of the qualifying things for this query. And I'm putting that in a cursor called cur. And then I call move to first. So already we're in the contacts provider, the contacts contract content provider. Already we've got a cursor to this provider. This is a very simple process. And now everything we're doing here, we're doing for each column in the cursor. Now remember, we have a names string array and an index variable. So while the cursor is not at the end, in other words, while cursor.move to next works, we're setting up a name column integer, which is the get column index for phone lookup.displayName. And then the string contact is getting the string form of the name column. And then we are adding contact to the names array. And we're doing that while the cursor can move to the next. Then, after that, we're just going to set the first name. And index, remember, is 0. So names index is going to be the first name in the contacts database on the device. And then we always, when we're done with the cursor, we always must close it. Very important. Get next, simply, if the index is less than the size of names minus 1, then we know we can get the next one. We're going to get the next name. We get the next name by pre-incrementing index and passing it back to names get. So this is a very terse way to do this. We could have gone plus plus index and then set text names dot get index, but this way we can do it in a one-liner. That's get next. Get prev, we look at it the other way. If index is greater than 0, then we can get the previous index, and then we just minus minus index, pass that back to names.get, pass that back to set text into our text view. And that's it. That's all we need to do to contact the context content provider. And when we run it, as long as we have names in our contacts database on the phone, or in the emulator, very important to set that up previously, as long as we have those names in there, it's going to work. So let's take a look and see how it runs. Here we go. When we connect, we get the first name in the contacts database. Of course, if we go prev, that's the first name. There is nothing previous. But if we go next, we get the next piece of information, the next name. And it turns out there's 3 items in my contacts database, so 3 names are displayed in sequence. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about, and this is also very important, if you are going to be looking at contacts or any other information in any other system provider, you need to provide a permission. In this case, we are providing the permission android.permission.read contacts. There's also a write contacts if you attempt to allow, if you're wanting your application to attempt to change something in the contacts or to add a contact, you need that permission as well. So you're going to need the proper user's permission. But since we're accessing a system provider, we don't need to provide a provider entry in the manifest body of the application itself. All we need here is the permission. Okay, thank you very much.